from being in the audience and listening to the Citizens Tribunal, and I feel very bad कि मेरे वजह से ये अगर छोटा करना पड़े. I'm really sorry because I have a flight to catch, so I think Preeti rushed a little bit of things for me. So I'm really sorry to everybody who was on stage because I'm from Punjab. I'm Punjabi. I was a schoolgirl when 1984 happened, but I have vivid memories of it, and I was really learning a lot from all of you, so thank you, and my apologies for cutting you short. I don't have a lot to say because my own book has nothing to do with what we've discussed this morning, but we've spoken about media, communication, the role of journalists in a society. What is our role? Sir referred to media blackouts, media being terrorized, media being compromised, and those questions remain just as alive for us today as they were 38 years ago. We are struggling with this today. I am somebody who, I call myself a child of television. I became a television journalist when there wasn't even private news in India. I joined NDTV when it was commissioned to produce 30 minutes of a news bulletin on Doordarshan, and India Today was commissioned to produce another 30 minutes in Hindi. So, but after a couple of decades, I got very disillusioned with what was happening in TV, and I felt कि लोगों की आवाज़ नहीं सुनने को मिलती थी. Revenue models were broken, budgets नहीं थे लोगों को बाहर भेजने के लिए, reporting करने के लिए, और revenue model of TV is completely broken. And हमने बहुत बात की आज about the independence in the context of Blue Star, the independence or lack of media. But you see, media and independent media also needs money. ये एक non-romantic चीज़ है बोलने के लिए, लेकिन ये सच कड़वा सच है. Today my former channel is about to get acquired by a corporate baron. It was already effectively being controlled by another corporate baron. It's just passed hands from Ambani to Adani. Why am I talking about this? Because the truth is, बात हुई ना कि अखबार खोलने के लिए 2 करोड़ रुपए चाहिए, तो टीवी चैनल चलाने के लिए भी several hundred crores चाहिए. उसके बीच में टेक्नोलॉजी की जो disruptions हैं, actually technology has changed some things for the worse, but it has also democratized the space, and it has made it possible कि आज आपके पास बहुत ज़्यादा पैसा भी ना हो, तो आप आज शायद with small money and as a small platform can be more independent than being a cog in the wheel of a large platform. That is my own journey. आप में से बहुत से लोग सोच रहे होंगे कि क्यों मैंने छोड़ा, तो मेरे टीवी छोड़ के डिजिटल में मैं क्यों आई, मेरे कुछ there were different reasons. A boredom with television, a boredom with doing the same thing, watching it from the inside, becoming a stale medium, but also wanting to be ahead of the curve. There are a lot of young people here, and I'm pretty sure that today you consume your content on your phone or your laptop. Please tell me if I'm right. You don't actually switch on the television set to watch it at a designated time. I understood that that was happening. I also felt the independence of television was shriveling. I also saw opportunities in new technology, and I also thought that I could be freer, more azad as me in a 20-member organization than I could be in one of me, even as the editor of several hundred strong organization. I won't say much more because I have a flight to catch, but to tell you a little bit about my book, it has very little to do with the books we've spoken about, but it has a lot to do with our country and the role of a journalist. I launched my platform Mojo Story. Mojo means magic because I wanted to rediscover the magic of journalism. I wanted to rediscover my own energy. Why did I become a journalist? And when I launched it, उसके 2 महीने बाद COVID हो गया. And through COVID, basically, I realized that this is one issue that cannot be told sitting inside a studio. So there were public transport band tha, so I sat in my Maruti Ertiga with 3 other people, including my driver, a camera person and a producer. And we spent 125 days traveling all across India. We did also come to Punjab, but we went all the way from the north to the south, from the east to the west. We covered 30,000 plus kilometers. We went to about 15 states. And that was the first wave, and then in the second wave, because airports had opened, trains वगैरह चलने लगी थी, I again travelled all across India, but this time not by road. And born from this is my book. It's called To Hell and Back: Humans of COVID. I felt, and I write a lot about this, about how I personally felt I had lost my way as a journalist because I had become very far removed. मुझे मेहर साहब की बात काफ़ी interesting लगी है, about the disconnect between the shrine and the city of Amritsar. I feel like something like that happened to journalism. There's a disconnect between journalism and people. In journalism, you tend to hear the voices of the rich and the powerful, or very boring, the same faces arguing about the same things every day. And I remember in the first wave of COVID, जब सबको बोला जा रहा था भाई हाथ धोइए, अब हाथ धोइए, हाथ धोते रहिए, because the science was unclear that it was actually an airborne disease. And I traveled to a village just beyond Sonipat, you know, on the highway between, as you go from Delhi to Chandigarh, Sonipat रास्ते में आता है, और एक गांव वहाँ पे मैं वहाँ गई. And that गांव daily wage workers, तनख्वाहें तो उनकी रुकी हुई थी, लॉकडाउन था. So they were telling me कि हम जब पानी पीते हैं हमें खरीदना पड़ता है. So I said, why? So they said, because there are factories all around and the chemicals from the factories had contaminated the groundwater, and so they were not getting potable drinking water. तो उसके बाद ये जो स्लोगन चल रहा था कि आप हाथ धोते रहिए, दिन में हाथ धोते रहिए. So I asked them, how do you wash your hands? Because you're clearly not drinking the water that you're getting in the supply. तो औरतों ने वहाँ मुझे बाल्टियाँ भर के दिखाई, पीला पानी निकलता था टैप्स में से. और when they would just put the water on their hands or their arms would break into a complete, almost immediate eruption because it was that contaminated. And I thought to myself that I have lived in Delhi, been a journalist for 20 plus years, but I, as a war reporter, political journalist, never have reported these stories because I had become so involved in my own navel-gazing universe of the news as I understood it. And I write in that chapter, the book opens with a chapter called The Village with the Yellow Water, that I realized about the growing disconnect between the job I had committed to do and the job I had ended up doing. And so was born this book. It's called Humans of COVID because while we are still fighting over the numbers, you see, data is a big political minefield. I think Sir has written in this book कि अभी भी जो disputed numbers है, आपने cremation grounds की बात की, how many people actually died, we don't know. It's the same for COVID. There's a reason that you say data is the new oil, not just because it's useful, because it's a highly political entity when you talk about numbers. तो हमारी जहाँ लड़ाई चल रही है कि भाई कितने लोग COVID में, how many did we lose? My attempt is that whoever I met should not be a number. There is a person behind that number. My own father died from COVID in 2021. But well before that, I think I wanted to personalize every single human being I met in my travels. And so for me, this book was a kind of soul searching. It's not a book really about COVID. It's partly a memoir. It's partly a rediscovery of myself. It's partly a rediscovery of journalism. And it is also to commit or keep my commitment to all the people I met along the way, that you will not be only a number. आप सिर्फ एक statistic बन के नहीं रहेंगे. आपकी जो कहानी है वो मैंने commit की है बताने के लिए और वो मैं बताऊंगी. So I hope some of you will get the chance to read the book. Once again, as a journalist, as an Indian, as a Punjabi, I learnt a lot about Blue Star, about the fault lines in the city. The Citizens Tribunal was very moving. Extremely sorry it had to be cut short, partly because I have a flight to catch. I hope you'll be able to resume the conversation. Thank you for having me.